Wendy Shirran, and this is my studio, Brim Pottery. Please come in and have a little look. So this is both a boutique and a functional studio. I make a bunch of different things actually. I try to keep it interesting by doing a variety of pieces. This is an example of one of my fish platters. Mugs, sculpture, I do all kinds of things. It's what keeps it very interesting and keeps me enthusiastic and really passionate about what I do. I do a little bit of jewelry as well.
How long have you been here?
This is my 4th summer. I had opened the studio in the midst of COVID actually, so yeah, and I was so happy to come back to Bonavista. So you can see here, again, I do some hand-built pieces. Some of my work is very fine. I use silk screen decals, a technique called mishima, and these are examples of hand-built pieces. Yeah, lots of fun things I like to do. Flowers, and the themes of my work tend to bring joy, I hope, to people's lives, you know. And this up here, you'll see like the traditional Newfoundland house, sheep, anything that people connect with, you know, on a certain practical level, I really bring into my work as well. In Newfoundland, some of the common themes and sights and kind of the visual culture that you would experience visiting here. Yeah.
So what's it like to paint your own work?
It's great. I mean, I really enjoy it. It's a very relaxing process. And I do different types of techniques, kind of layering my surface as well. And I do it all here. So it's as I said, it's not a huge space, but it's fully equipped with everything that I need. So I have my wheel, I have my kiln. My kiln is pretty compact, and I've got a few pieces in there already that I'm working on. I'm filling this thing soon, I hope. I'm always busy, and you know, the process is a little bit long. It has to happen in various stages. So it's something that, you know, from just a ball of clay to finally being able to fire, it usually takes me minimum 2 to 3 weeks, depending on the actual work and what I'm doing.
What are you showing us today?
So I'm going to show you some wheel throwing. Even though, like I said, I do hand building, I find having those skills for both allows me to create a more dynamic pot, and pieces. So I will just do a quick little demonstration of centering on the wheel and pulling, creating the walls. Yeah, it's a nice process. When I'm in the mood to get dirty, this is what I do. I come out. Other times I just feel like hand building. It's kind of a different state of mind each time, and for each one of these processes and the type of work that I'm doing. So I'm lucky that I can really pick and choose how I want to work and what I feel like doing that day.
How did you discover clay?
So it's kind of a funny story. I was living in Japan actually, and I was teaching English, and one of my students who used to come to my classroom every single week, she would come to my English class right after her pottery class. And that would be what our conversation was about usually. She would bring her new pieces and she would show me. Meanwhile, while I was there, I was putting together my portfolio for art school because I knew when I returned back to Canada, I wanted to go to art school. So that's what I did. And when I came back, I enrolled in a pottery class at the Craft Council Clay Studio in St. John's, and tried pottery for the first time. I didn't even try it in Japan. But yeah, I was kind of hooked. And then when I finally got into art school, I was originally going to major in painting, but I just love clay so much that I was kind of hooked on that. So I will open this guy up. That is pretty well centered now. So that was back, I was in Japan back in 1998. So that was a while ago. So I've been doing ceramics for probably, well, I don't know, since then, I guess. It's been quite some time.
And you never look back?
Never look back. So no matter what career path I chose, whether art education or art administration, I always kept my ceramic arts practice and developed it. And anytime I would do some professional development, I've always chosen to do it in other countries and just be expose myself to different methods from around the world. I mean, working with clay, it's like a universal language, you know. It's a common point that so many people gather around, I find, all over the world. So it's exciting. It's really exciting.
You just came back from Greece?
I just finished up an artist residency in Greece, yes. And it was so wonderful. Just with the I'm very influenced by visual culture. Stories, narratives, the flora and fauna, the environment of a place, and boy oh boy, that was really filling for me to go there. Most of my work there though was sculptural work, which I don't always get to do, So this is a porcelain clay. I really love working with porcelain because it is so smooth and it's a clean surface ready for some fun stuff.
When you paint your art, how do you research it?
Well, it's often I tell stories with my work. It can be anywhere from a story that my great uncle used to tell me about fairies to seeing the sheep down on the Cape Bonavista, to visiting a cathedral in Italy. And just, you know, architecture is really important to form as well. Like your form and your surface decoration has to be one with each other, you know. I find sometimes I'll throw a form or create a form that I originally thought I was going to decorate in a certain way, and then it will remind me of something else. Other times I do my sketches and the form and the decoration, it's all design at the same time, so they work with each other. This is just a plain cylinder mug, I guess. I can add some shape to it, usually clean it up.
Do you put handles to your mugs?
I do, yeah. I have some there. I'll show you some handles there.
Is it hard to put handles?
No, it's not too hard. A lot of people throw or pull their handles. I tend to like hand building my handles. but I'll show you some that I already have made. Last night, burning the midnight oil in my studio. So usually when you make a cup or a form, you have to make some decisions about if you want it kind of bulbous, volume rising or sinking. This one's kind of a volume sinking form. And if I'm doing my silk screens and doing a more layered surface, I tend to like to have a bit of a smooth, straight surface so that I can really make sure I'm getting a good image on that surface with the silk screens. Sometimes I'll use vintage decals. I do a lot of carving into my surface and texture. Sometimes the texture works best for me, I find, you can do more with texture with hand building. So when I'm in that kind of a mood and want to do some fun things that way, you'll see me hand building the pieces. So I'm going to take this little guy off. And that's it really for a wheel thrown piece. This is where it gets tricky. There.
Wendy, you are the daughter of an artist. What's it like to have that inspiration?
Well, my mom has influenced me, I think, from a very, very young age. We were always doing something creative. You know, ironically though, she's a textiles artist and I am ceramic. I mean, I can't knit anything. It's I don't know what happened. I didn't get that, I didn't inherit that skill or gene, I guess, but it came out in a different way. So it's been an honor to do this with my mother. I opened the studio about 4 years ago after working for 8 years as a director for the Craft Council Clay Studio. And it was time for me to focus on my work. And then I guess the decision to move back to Bonavista was, I just felt I needed a little bit of a change. And my mom also, I think after she retired, she was a business administration instructor, and all she's learned with her knitting and rug hooking, it's something she's been doing since she was a child. So I just thought it was a good opportunity to come home and kind of celebrate that. You know, and I get to spend so much time with her. It's a real gift, actually. It's truly a gift. And now at the beginning of the season, you know, come May, you start to feel the excitement, and I start talking to her more. She's like, oh, you know, the weather is nice. It's time that we start getting ready for this. And she works through the whole winter. I work through the winter to create my pieces for the boutique here. It's quite fulfilling, I have to say, and I love every single moment. Even just the community aspect of this. Everybody in my neighborhood, you know, my neighbor brings me the flowers for the studio, and it's just wonderful. It's just wonderful.
So what happens now with this?
Okay, so I'm just gonna give my hands a little wipe here. And I'm going to show you, just so you get an idea of the different stages for this. Here is my work from last night. I made all of these handles. So So you can see my handles. I do double handles. They're all hand built, and I work them so I know they're going to feel good in people's hands when they pick up the cup. That's very, very important, you know, the functionality of each piece. So I work them a lot with my hands, you know, even though they're hand built, so that they have the smooth edges. They feel nice to hold. And here are some of my mugs. So you can get a sense of what they're like. So there's another process that happens between this, and that would be trimming the bottoms. So you can see how this has a little foot on it, and it's kind of cleaned up. So the pieces have to be leather hard in order to do this, so I don't distort them. And at this point, this is where I can attach a handle. So I could do that if you want to see me attach a handle. This is very satisfying. I find this an extremely satisfying part of what I do. And I do need some slip for this as well. I think I use every inch of the space in my studio. It's small, but it functions very well, and it's great. All right, so I'm going to just cut this to try to size it here. And, you know, I can just look at this and almost estimate the right size of a handle for this piece, just because I've been doing it for so long, right? Like, you develop this sensibility with ceramics and over the years. So, I find it's a very intuitive process, actually. So the slip, you can almost think of it like a glue. It's really a watery mixture of the clay, and it's important to have a good attached handle, right? Because this is gonna hold tea, hot tea or hot coffee. And this is a very enjoyable part for me, I find, because it really starts to come together, each piece. And this is quite a simple, basic form. But when I start making my pitchers and my butter dishes and things like that, that's where I can be very creative with it all. And I just make sure that it's on there very well. There's different ways to make handles, but this is kind of my favorite one. It's not sticky or goopy or anything like that, and you know what you're going to end up with. So yeah, that's that one.
And it goes in the kiln?
This will dry, so the next step would be to paint and to do any of the silk screening that I want to do on it. Sometimes I use a process called mishima. So again, it's the layering, and I use a fine X-Acto knife to kind of score the surface to create my fine lines. So I can show you an example of that when it's done. So this one here, so this is a hand-built piece, but you can see this would be the silk screen here that I had made, and this here would be my drawing, my painting and drawing, and the black lines, this is all mishima. So it's using underglaze and wax resist. It's quite a process. Each piece takes me a long time to do. I'm going to show you a little bit about silk screening on my pieces. I do get lots of questions about that. I've had some silk screens made, and I will show you. It takes a little bit of prep, but you can see these are some of my silk screens that I had made. So this is a little bird, right? And I just silk screen right onto the top of the piece. So for example, this is, we'll try a a codfish. Maybe I'll show you a codfish and how I do the codfish. Put a codfish in the mud. So when I was in art school, printmaking was one of my other favorite things to do. And printmaking is a real full-on kind of practice in itself. So I've been trying to incorporate my love for printmaking into what I do here in the studio. And I even sometimes silk screen onto some of my mom's work as well. But this is always fun. So this is Mr. Cod here. And these are my images that I actually had a friend who has a silk screen company. He made these silk screens for me. So you can see how it works. So there you go. And then I just clean up the silk screen and it's that simple. I like doing things with codfish because it was such an important resource for us Newfoundlanders, and the fishery is so deeply influential in everything, like in our culture here in Bonavista. I grew up with a family of fishermen, so it's so important for it to be represented. And my grandfather, he was a fisherman, and there was something about the way he lived that when I reflect on, and even as part of who I am and who I was growing up, keeps me grounded. It's such a it was such a tough profession, you know. The hardiness was just really inspiring, and I actually named this place Brim Pottery because of my grandfather. That's him right there in that photo. His name was Robert Hayward. He was a fisherman, and yeah, every time I would go drink tea and pour him a cup of tea, he would say, "Fill her to the brim, fill her to the brim." So I always said if I had my own pottery studio, I would call it Brim Pottery, and that's what I've done. Yeah, so it's been very, very meaningful for me to finally realize that, you know, and have it in my life. Yeah, it's time consuming, and I can't make an abundance of work, you know. Each piece is one of a kind. So most of my customers and clients, they have the understanding and the appreciation for the amount of work that goes into each individual piece, and that they're all one of a kind pieces. Right? So I'm not really a production potter or a production artist. And that's a choice that I've made, because I can do production work, but that's not how I want to actually that's not what I want for me in my lifestyle and in my creative practice, right?
It's summer. Do you have projects, plans?
For the summer, well, I'm just pretty much here, and this is what my summer is all about. I have a lot of different people coming in and out of my space, and they're all just so wonderful. Like, I clear my schedule for the summer usually, and I don't know, it's just really a beautiful time here in Bonavista. So I have lots of friends that tend to come visit me. They know that that's the way it has to go. This is my busiest season. So yeah, friends come here, I find. And Bonavista is such a beautiful place to be. Any excuse at all to come here, I find people are on it.
For those who want to do a change in their life, but they don't have that kind of confidence, do you have a word of encouragement?
When it comes to, that's a really personal question in some regard for me, because, doing what you love is just so essential to your overall well-being. And I know, because I've worked in nonprofit, I've worked in education, in systems. We have one life to live, and we're the ones in charge of ourselves to make sure we live it in a way that we have joy. And that's the choice that I've made, to come here every single year now. For 6 months of the year, I live with my parents when I come home. Eventually I will have my own place here. But for now, I just can say, just keep working towards, but make sure you have some kind of an idea in your life of what makes you happy, and a rough guideline to how to get there. It doesn't happen overnight. This didn't happen overnight for me, but I knew when it was time to actually take that step, and COVID was when I did it. I took that opportunity to write my business plan, and as soon as I had that done, this is my dad's shed. He had a workshop here, and he did everything here in the studio for me, even right down to my workbench. He's made all of that, my shelving. And it was kind of a project we had fun doing together. So he sacrificed his workspace for me, but in the end, it's for me and my mom, right? And as I said, it's been a real gift, and I haven't really looked back. I would never do anything differently than I've done. So, yeah.
Thank you.
you.